Okay, we're back to the using up your scraps and your stash series. So this is the scrappy blanket, which you can use up your stash and your scraps with. But I've had a brainwave. What if we made a poncho instead of a blanket? So I have got a knitted one somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. This is a crocheted poncho, but it is just a giant triangle. So we make a giant triangle, and if we lay that across your shoulders and bring your points down the front, this is exactly what this is. There's your points of your triangle down the front. So if we laid that out that way, then it would be a ginormous triangle. So to know how big to make your triangle, I've got a measuring tape. This is 1.5 meters. So if I made my triangle, so my point is here and my triangle goes out here, this is the top of my triangle, and obviously the bottom of my triangle would be back here, and then I'm bringing these points over here. So this is 1.5 meters. And the thing is, you can try it on as you go. What we're aiming for is to put it on and for it to end up being about elbow to elbow, and you'll have the fringe. You can make it as big as you like. Just keep making it until you like the size. If you're going to do children's size, well, you can do a little short one. So they're so adaptable because you're starting at the pointy end and going out. So with the pattern, the little tutorial that I've got for you there, we have used an adaptation of the scrappy blanket pattern, so you can grab that pattern as a PDF. 2 8-plies held together on 7mm needles, or 4 4-plies, 2 4s and an 8, or 1 14. Use up all of your scraps with that. Have a look at the little tutorial that I have just done. Shows you how to start it, how the rows are made, how to tie it off, how to join it in. Quite simple, but have a go at that. About, for an adult poncho, you're looking at about 600 grams. So if you've got a whole couple of bags of bits and pieces, small balls, bits and pieces, your small balls use on your short bit, your longer balls use up the longer bits, and you can make yourself a rather spectacular poncho with a fringe as you go, and no sewing in ends, and use up tons of yarn. So we have used a similar concept on our wedge hat. You can also watch the video for that if you want to make a hat that matches your poncho. All right, that is it from me. Watch and I will show you how to do it. All right, so we've got our 2 strands together. We've got our 7mm needles. You will need a circular. You can start off on straight and change when you can't fit anymore, but I'm going to start off on a circular. I've cast on my 2 stitches. So our first row is increase. So we're going to knit into the front and the back of both of these stitches. There we go. Front and back. So now I've got 4. There we go. Turn it. So normally with this pattern, I'm using the scrappy blanket pattern. Normally with the scrappy blanket pattern, we start straight away leaving tails. We're not going to do this for the poncho. We are going to just do our point. So knit 1, increase into the next 2 stitches, and knit 1. So now we should have 6, which we do. So normally with this pattern we would be dropping our yarn every row, but for this poncho we're going to leave our point with no fringy bits, and we can add a tassel at the end. I'll do a knit row. So this little, till we've done the point where we'll start doing a different increase. This is 1 row knit, 1 increase row. So the previous increase row was knit 1 and increase in the next 2. This next one is to knit 2 and increase in the next 2. That's my increase, knit front and back. and knit 2. So we're making a little triangle. The next row is a knit row, so we're just going to knit across. Try and stay in the camera, that would be a good idea. It's hard to watch the camera and the knitting. Alright, so that's... Next row is another increase row, so that is, this time it's knit 3. 1, 2, 3 knitted, and then increase. And we're going to increase again. And we should have 3 left to knit, which we do. Imagining that our 2 strands held together equals 1 strand. Alright, so how many have we got? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so we need to do another knit row. So I knit continental, so which is why I am knitting like I'm holding my crochet. You can knit the regular way. I just find the continentals quicker for me. So I just am not coordinated enough to do it this way. But I will do a row across the regular way just in case you got all a bit confused. So the next row, the previous row we did was knit 3, increase in the next 2 stitches and knit 3. This next row is going to be knit 4 and increase into the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to increase again, and we're going to increase again, and if we've got 4 left it's a bonus, which we do. Look at that. That bit's pretty easy, isn't it? Alright, so now there's our little pointy triangle there. So now we're going to start making a border and an increase as we go. But that's our first little bit, and from here on out we will be changing yarn every single row. So I'll just grab some yarn that's different to what I'm using, and we will move on. Okay, so we're going to change colour, and from here on we are going to change colour, and I'm going to leave maybe 15 centimetres. We're going to change colour every single row. So we've just done an increase row. We are now going to find something else. So I'm using 2 8-plies, and I've got a mess of yarn here which I should have tidied up, but I'll find the end on something. All right, so I've got some hideous colours today actually, but this thing doesn't seem to matter if you have hideous. So I've got 2 yarns together. I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to hang on to this tail tightly to keep this stitch nice and firm. This row I'm about to do is a knit row. We're going to poke our needle in there holding this firm, so the needle isn't going to come out because this stitch is firm because we're hanging on to it. We're going to hang our 2 tails over that side, and we are going to knit across this row. Don't worry if that end is, we're not going to knit that one, we're going to knit with this one. Going to knit with this one, and I'm going to knit, before I let go of this one I'm holding tight, I'm going to knit 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that is nice and firm. And I'm just going to swap hands because I knit this way, and I'm just going to knit to the end. So this is our knit row. So every second row in this pattern is a plain knit row where we don't have to think about anything. All right, so now we are going to turn. We're going to cut this one off, and we're going to pick up something different. I've got blue, and I only brought out a couple of colours, so I have got a mountain of colours, but I just bought, so there's the next 2. So we're going to hang on to that again tightly. This next row is knit 6. Make sure you've got enough tail hanging out. Knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have a yarn forward, and then we're going to knit to the end. And we're going to drop this colour again. 1, doesn't matter how many there are. For now, just going to knit it to the end. And we are just about past the having to think about anything too much stage of this pattern. So we've got to our end. So the next thing we're going to do again is we're going to cut this off. So all we need to do is just give these things a pull up here and it'll firm it up. So this is the one that I have just dropped, and I'm going to hang on to that tightly, and I'm going to pick up something else. Much better if you've got more colours. I say at least 12 colours for this one. All right, so the next row. So the next 2 rows are the 2 rows that we're going to repeat for the rest of this project. So this row, we did exactly what we did before, hang that over and knit that. So we're going to knit 6 again. So 6 are our borders. So this actually makes a border as we knit. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn forward. That's our yarn forward from before. We're just going to knit that. So we have to knit till there are 6 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 stitches. That is 6, isn't it? 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we yarn forward and we knit to the end. So in this case, the yarn forward is our increase rather than before we were doing increases, but it gives us a little decorative border. So this, I'm standing on the yarn. That actually looks pretty ugly, the colours, but I've shown you the blanket, so it does work out. So we'll just tighten these up. So what we do, I'll get rid of some flotsam here. I'll move this up to the end. So what we do is we just tighten these up carefully, and then we're going to tie pairs of 2, so 4 together. So all we do is pull them up so that they're firm. We're just going to do a overhand knot, and if we use a darning needle in the center of there, we can pull that. Oops, I dropped my darning needle. But you can see why the darning needle is so helpful, because if we leave our darning needle in the middle of here and pull down on it, we can pull it down tight right to the edge of there. So that's nice and firm. Have I got 2 more? I have got 2 more, so I can tighten these down as well. Although I wouldn't tighten this one down yet because it's still attached to here. If you tighten this one too firmly, you won't get your needle back in here. But you can, and then we'll trim these off later. We'll do the other side just as a standing on the yarn again. So this is the side we're going to knit with, so we're going to leave that one. But down here, I've got 4. We'll just give them a little tighten. Get out of the way, needle. You're in the way. And we will tighten them up. So those ones there. Same thing as we did just a second. That needle is just being painful. Or maybe I'll just stick it down in there. All right. So we've got that little knot. Here's my darning needle. I'm going to stick my darning needle inside the knot. Pull those tails against the needle right down firmly onto the edge. So there's our first couple of tassels done. And this is the blanket version. So this is this is where we're at here. We've done this section here, but we've left off these. So this is just plain and one colour. And now we're changing, and you can see those colour changes. And this is the border. This is our yarn forward that we've just started doing. So the row we just did was knit 6, yarn forward. We're right down here actually. Yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, knit 6. Then it's knit back. Then it'll be knit across, 6, yarn forward, knit till you've got 6 left, yarn forward. And so it's a knit 6, yarn forward, knit till there's 6 left, yarn forward, knit to end, and then a plain knit row until your garment is the right size. It's as simple as that. It's just quite a simple thing. And obviously my colour choices here are quite horrible, but it is just a sample. Whereas you can see this blanket, even though there's, God, I don't know how many colours are in this thing. Like there's, and all different colours. There's must be 20 colours in this thing of all leftovers. It still looks really good. This one here, we actually have put 2 of the same colour together. But you can get a more tweedy look by adding 2 different colours together. It depends whether you want to be more blendy or not. If you've got a whole lot of colours, you could do like a swathe of different blues, a swathe of different pinks. Just use up your yarn. But obviously these are fairly, I mean, generally if you have a little bundle of wool on the counter and they look nice together, then they are going to look nice knitted. However, my bundle of colours here look horrible on the counter, and the result is exactly as you can imagine, pretty horrible. But choose your colours. Most people have a colour taste, so you'll find that you've got a whole lot of colours in your collection that do all go nice together. All right, so have a go at that one. You can grab the Scrappy Blanket pattern for a PDF if you want the actual pattern, but this is a triangle for the poncho, whereas your Scrappy Blanket is a square or rectangle.